Hi guys, welcome to another episode of stock reviews. So as usual, I will start off with the indexes reviews first. We see how are the major indexes moving. Then after that, we will go on to some case studies for the Malaysian stock market lah. Okay, so we start off with the Nasdaq first. US 100 is futures for Nasdaq lah. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, it's not forming a higher high anymore. Okay, it's kind of like going down, and you can see that it's attempting to challenge the downtrend line multiple times but fail. On Friday, it's quite a huge candle down. Okay, they say it's quadruple witching day lah. Okay, you can Google it up. Something to do with about options expiring. But nevertheless, it doesn't seem like it's able to break from the previous high lah. Okay, so if we look at it, this is the first high, then this is a lower high, and another lower high over here. So far it's not able to break from this downtrend line. Okay, so you need to be a bit cautious. There may be some bearish sentiment over here lah. Okay, we move over to the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is still basically the same. It's also not able to form a higher high. The highest one was formed over here, and since then it's forming lower highs along the way. Okay, of course, if we look at it on a further thing, it's still considered as an uptrend. Okay, you can actually see it's still an uptrend over here, but in terms of short term, it may not be so favorable lah. Okay, so you just need to be a bit more cautious. When I say cautious, it's not like I'm asking you to buy or sell. Okay, it's just a word of advice, just to be cautious lah. You need to see what happens in the market. Just bear in mind, the stock market is not really more of a prediction kind of thing. Okay, it's more of you react to what you see. Okay, it's not like you take a crystal ball and you predict it's going to reach where, it's going to break out from where. No, it's more like you see what happens to the stock and you make your decision. Okay, so okay, we continue back for Dow Jones. It's moving, it's still forming lower highs lah. Okay, but however here it's still kind of like forming a lower high. So like I said, you have to wait to see what is the next reaction lah. Okay, and then for the S&P 500, same thing. It's also not forming a higher high anymore. You can see from here, it's quite obvious it's still challenging the downtrend line lah. Okay, and then same with the other indexes. On this side is still going higher, but at the moment in terms of short term, it's not forming any more higher highs. Okay, so you need to be cautious. Next, we move over to the Russell 2000. Russell 2000 is kind of on track to what I foresaw previously. Okay, a head and shoulders forming, and a possibility of the index going down. Okay, now we move over to the Malaysian market. Okay, for the Malaysian market, I don't think there's much changes over here. It's still moving within the downtrend channel, but you can see like there is some strength over here. As you can see, there's a bit slightly more volume coming in now. Okay, which is something good for the Malaysian market. Just remember that this is KLCI. It's the top 30 index stocks only. So if you don't be surprised if you see KLCI moving up, but your smaller cap stocks are moving down. Okay, this one is focusing on the top 30 stocks for Malaysia, same like Dow Jones 30 lah. Okay, then we move over to the small cap index. This is where most of the stocks are in lah. Okay, the smaller cap, not the mega blue chip stocks. Okay, so if you look at the small cap index, previously it reached here, and I think in my previous videos when I was looking at the index, I did mention that there's a possibility for it's just a healthy pullback over here lah. Okay, so if we look back, it has been like in an uptrend kind of manner. Okay, once it breaks out, it will usually come back to retest the previous resistance to see whether it forms a support or not. In this case, I think yes. In my personal opinion, I think it did form a support over here. You can see that, okay, this is the breakout line. It penetrated through and then it closed higher. Okay, on the next day it repeated the same thing. Okay, so past few days, the candle has been quite nice. You see even here also they open over here. Okay, go down, close this gap that was created, and then it closed green. okay, which is a good news lah. Okay, so in terms of small cap, I think it's quite solid. And if you compare back, you know, the US indexes, this is like, it's still forming higher highs at the moment. Okay, still continuing with higher highs, whereas the US index is not. Okay, now we move over to the Hong Kong index. Hong Kong index, I think there were some stimulus that came in from China side. Something about interest rate. Maybe China is starting QE again. QE will be good for stocks, but bad for the currency. Okay, so if QE comes in, I think they have also decided to reduce the stamp duty for the stock market. So Hong Kong may do well. Okay, but as of now, if we look at it in a larger trend, you know, in the long trend, it's actually still down lah. Okay, it's still going lower, still forming lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so we just need to watch out for anyone who is interested in the Hong Kong market lah. Okay, and the candle that was formed on Friday is not really favorable. It's more of like attempted to break from this downtrend line but failed. Okay, next we move on to China. China's candle on Friday is quite bad. Okay, you can see there is actually kind of a support over at this zone. Okay, if you watch my video on support and resistance, you will understand better lah. Okay, what support and resistance actually indicate and mean. Okay, so for me, I can see like there is some support over here lah. Despite a really bearish candle, you look at the hourly one also, is there was some support over here lah. Okay, you can see it, they attempted to push back up but failed. Okay, so China is not really out of the woods yet. And we go over to Nikkei index. This one literally really bullish, okay, compared to the others. Okay, this was COVID time, okay, 2020 March, where it crashed down. Okay, and since then, from 16,000, it has already doubled to about 30 over thousand. Okay, this is Japan's index lah. Okay, Japan's market is doing pretty well. It formed a highest high over here, and then it formed a lower high over here, but now it has managed to break out from the previous lower high, okay, and forming a new higher high lah. So this is more like a consolidation, okay, more like a pullback, which is actually a very good thing. Okay, so the Nikkei index is pretty good. And lastly is Brent oil lah. Okay, I think there's news about OPEC reducing the output, so UK oil, the price will increase lah. Okay, for oil, it's actually a good news for oil counters. Oil counters will be able to have more profit. Okay, there is actually a very clear support over here. You can see it has rebounded multiple times and actually gone up lah. Okay, so oil seems to be on an uptrend. Means you will see oil prices going up lah in the near future. Okay, it looks quite good. Okay, that's all with the indexes. Now we will move on to my case studies for next week's stocks which I feel is interesting. Just a disclaimer, this video is entirely my own personal opinion. It is not a buy or sell call. It is entirely for educational purpose. If you require a buy or sell call, please look for your reminder for financial advice. Okay, for this week's case studies, we start with SKBSHUT. I think this one, the momentum is quite strong. I received a few requests for chart reviews previously, but I think it was somewhere around here. Okay, the volume just started coming in. The problem with that is actually you don't have a support and resistance over there, so which is why it wasn't so nice lah, the chart at that point of time. Okay, but you have a look at the chart now, it is actually gone up and then came back down, from a nice cup over here and broke out. Okay, so after it broke out, it consolidated over here, just a short consolidation, and then after that decided to go higher. So currently it's at a 52-week high lah, definitely 52-week high. Okay, the last time it was at February 2022, so it's already 52 weeks high. It has had quite a long consolidation over here. This is a stage 1 lah, definitely. Okay, and then likely this is like a stage 2. Okay, so stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 is actually a stage analysis. I will have another separate video for that lah. Okay, so if you look at the stock, the chart, okay, this is the first breakout. Okay, consider it broke out from this level lah. This was the previous resistance level of 0.43. It broke out from here with a high volume. Okay, so the candle is also high. I mean large, and then the volume is also large, confirming the breakout lah. Okay, but there were quite a number of sellers over here, quite a lot of resistance. We shut it down over to here, and then over the next few days, it actually pulled back about this zone. Okay, around this area, and then you see on the next breakout candle again, the volume increased again. Okay, volume increased again, came up to about here, and then it has consolidated to the lowest was about 0.54. So since that is the level which it has consolidated or pulled back until, we can see that it is actually a support lah. Okay, there is a lot of demand over here. Okay, and then on Friday, it kind of opened, gapped out, came back down, and closed at its high lah. Okay, 0.605. So currently, the resistance will be about 0.59 previously. So you wait to see whether the stock will open and come over about here or not. Okay, to test back the resistance. Okay, if let's say this is no longer a resistance, okay, there is no longer resistance over here, then basically you don't really have a resistance. Okay, most resistance are based on 52-week high only. But if let's say you insist you want to have a resistance, you want to know what is the next resistance for a stock, okay, you can always look back to the past data. Okay, past data shows that there is a clear resistance at about this zone. Okay, 0.72 to about 0.745. Okay, because previously, if you look back at my support and resistance video, support or resistance does not necessarily need to be just one line. It can be an entire zone. Okay, so if we look at the zone over here, it's actually this entire area lah. Okay, when you will pull over to here also, you will see it's about there. Okay, we have a look. Hit over here, pull back, hit over here, pull back again, then gap up, came up here. Here was like a collection, like an accumulation zone because the volume quite low, and then came back down. Subsequently, never managed to break out from here again. So this is basically the theory of support turn resistance and resistance turn support lah. Okay, so if you are really to look for a resistance point, then this will be the resistance point. Okay, 0.72 lah. Okay, I'll just add it over here, R0.72. Okay, but like I said before in previous videos, it's quite unlikely for someone to hold the stock for about 2 years plus, almost 2 years lah. Okay, more often than not, if let's say, you know, from 0.72 and it has dropped to about here, that's like what, 60%. I don't think anyone will still be holding lah, my personal opinion. Okay, so next we go over to Hupseng. Just bear in mind, Hupseng is more of a dividend stock. Okay, the dividend yield is about 4%, about FD rate lah. Okay, so yeah, Hupseng is the Hupseng crackers that you buy. Okay, seems to be quite hot now. The chart wise, I think it looks quite good. Okay, it came down over here, accumulated over here. This QR I think was a good one. Okay, August 10 also. Yes, August 10, the profit more than doubles, so there was buying volume coming in. And then you see it's like a consolidation over here. Okay, you come up over here, then you pull back, you break out from here, and then cannot break out, so do another pullback. Okay, and then you see on Friday the volume is quite high. Okay, it's like almost 3 times compared to the normal volume lah. Okay, the average volume is about 220,000. The volume that came in on that day is 771,000. Okay, it's about 3 times lah. So there is some bullish momentum over here. Okay, at the moment the previous resistance is 0.71. We need to see whether this resistance can turn into a new support or not. Okay, if it is, then it will look something like this lah. Okay, it will look something like you come up here, you know, break out, then come back here, then break out. Okay, it will be more like a very nice stairway pattern. Okay, so that is if this resistance becomes a support. If you're looking for the next resistance, then like I mentioned in my support and resistance video, then it will be here lah from your past data. Okay, it will be 0.735 and then 0.755 lah. Okay, you can actually see them quite clearly. Okay, next Armada. Let's just move Uzma up. We cover O and G together lah. Okay, just like I mentioned in my indexes reviews for oil and gas, they seem to be quite good because oil's price is also going up quite well. Okay, so the two stocks that interest me to put into my case study this week is actually Armada and Uzma. Reason being that you can see the trend is actually quite nice. Okay, of course this gap down happened. I think this gap down was because I think something to do with the Kraken thing, whereby they can't get so much oil or something like that. I didn't really follow the stock at that point of time. Okay, But then since then it has managed to recover quite well, okay, forming quite a nice pattern lah. Okay, kind of three volume contractility patterns. So currently your resistance is at 0.56, which is quite obvious because it attempted to break out and failed. Okay, it's also forming considered higher highs over here. Okay, this is high. This is higher than this. This is higher than this, and this is challenging the resistance lah. Okay, it's also forming higher lows over here. Okay, so for me it looks quite nice lah. Okay, that's why I took it as a case study. Okay, you need to bear in mind that there was a huge gap down over here and huge volume over here. So if let's say the stock goes up, okay, like I mentioned in my previous support and resistance video, you will always be met with some form of resistance at the gap. Okay, so you can consider the resistance here as 0.62 if the stock manages to go higher. Okay, if, like I say, it's not a buy or sell call, it's just if the stock manages to go higher. Okay, over here. Okay, next Uzma. Basically the chart is quite similar to Armada. Okay, it's just that this stock does not have the big gap down. Okay, you can see that it's actually sideways here quite long until it decided to break out, and then it came back down to almost test back that previous resistance. Actually it did lie, I assume. Okay, it's about here. Okay, so since then it has been going higher, and now it has almost the same chart as Armada. Okay, so it's like this also, one cup over here, and this one also one cup over here, just that the position is a bit different lah. Okay, so for Armada the volume is slowly climbing higher, whereas for Uzma you can see the volume is quite fixed lah, about for the past 3 days. Okay, so the resistance will be at 0.84 because it hasn't been able to break out. Same as Armada will be 0.56. If you are able to go higher, then of course we can look for the next resistance which has happened in the past. Okay, which will be about here lah, 0.895. Okay, let's just put a, okay, it can be about here. Okay, if it manages to go higher lah. Okay, again, this is not a buy or sell call, this is just what I'm studying based on the chart lah. Okay, now MSM. On news-wise, it seems it's quite hard to get sugar now. Okay, so if it's hard to get sugar, that means your demand is high lah. Okay, your demand is higher than your supply. Like my previous video, supply and resistance, that's quite an important video. I think you guys should go and watch it. Okay, for MSM, because the demand is higher than the supply, so there are possibilities that the company will be able to make more money, more profit. Okay, because when your demand is higher, you need to ramp up your production facilities to actually cope with the demand. Okay, same thing happened to glove lah. Okay, so I think that's what's happening to MSM as well. Okay, there is not enough sugar, so the previous resistance of 1.41 to 1.44 is already broken. Okay, it's currently at a kind of, you can say, it's 52-week high lah. Okay, last high was about January 2022. Okay, it's already at a 52 weeks high, and the momentum seems to still be there. Okay, so you can look out lah. Okay, there is the support and resistance is there, but it's a bit difficult to spot the latest support. I don't think it has formed a new pullback yet. Okay, because if you look at here, it came up to here. Okay, then it formed one cup over here. Okay, came up to here, and then break out the next day. Okay, so like I mentioned, usually stocks will tend to form like go up like this, go up like this. Okay, it will tend to form in a ladder form. So every time when it goes up, we take example of MSM also. You see, if it goes up, then it will come down. It will form a nice base, break out again, form a nice base, you know, then consolidate again. Here also, you know, come out already, then form a nice base and break out. So far, I don't see a base over here lah. Okay, but this is just among my case studies because it's already at a 52-week high, and there's a very high demand for sugar itself. Okay, so that's why it's included into my case study lah. Okay, so next is Wellcal. Wellcal's dividend yield is also pretty nice. Okay, it's about 5%. Okay, it's already broken new 52-week high, broken the 5-year high in fact. Okay, it's December 2021 is about here. So this was like 2018 lah. Okay, broken 5-year high. So like I said in previous stock review for MSM, usually once breakout, they will always form another cup. Okay, they will always have another pullback to they call it washout lah. We wash out the weak holders, the weak retailers before it attempts to go higher again. Okay, which seems quite similar here lah. Okay, reach a high of 1.46, come back down, test the support of about 1.35. So this is previously written, this previous resistance turned to support. I may not have gotten 1.36 as an exact one, but what my point is, it will usually test back your previous resistance. So in this case, it actually did. Okay, it came down to about 1.35, and then it closed at about 1.36. The next day, the same thing, but it closed at about 1.38. So it has tested the previous resistance, and for me, in my opinion, it has turned into a new support. Okay, so if you were to look at the new support and resistance, 1.446 will be the new resistance. Okay, over here. Okay, and then your new support will be 1.35. Okay, it will be here. Quite a nice trend lah. Okay, we look back. Okay, this entirely for educational purpose only. We look back, you can see one nice cup over here, and then it broke out with a gap up, and then it came back down, test here, go back up, come back down. Okay, so it's basically something like this already lah. Quite nice stairway pattern lah. Okay. Okay, next Sptoto, still in my list of case studies for the week. But I'm not so sure whether it's Sharia or not. Okay, so same thing. I don't think it has really attempted to go higher. You can see from here it's like one cup. Okay, attempted to break out but actually failed. Okay, came back down already. It's about this area now lah. So if me, I will remain my support at 1.5 because I don't really see breaking out from this base yet. Okay, you can see the base is about here lah. Okay, a one base over here. It kind of like failed. So I will keep my resistance at about 1.46. If not, it can also be 1.58 lah. Okay, so it's about this entire area. Okay, next Ttvhb. Okay, this stock is in the case study because of the support. Okay, like I always tell you all, the resistance can turn into a support, and the support can turn into a resistance. So actually Ttvhb's chart is quite nice for that purpose. Okay, we have a look over here. You can see that there's a lot of resistance over here. Okay, so the stock cannot break out, so it dropped down. Okay, we use ray lah, nice. Okay, so it came down. Okay, then after coming down, okay, this was the previous support. Okay, you can see a support over here, slowly going higher, but fail, come down. Okay, when it come down, then you test here. You see the same support hasn't been broken down yet. It's testing many times. Okay, and then it broke down. Okay, break down already, find new support. Every time a stock breaks down, you will always look for a new support. Okay, so now it has formed a support about here, 99. Okay, so now it's attempting to go higher. So when it goes higher, this was your previous support, and now it has turned into a resistance over here. Okay, you can see like it tried to break, cannot, then come back down. Okay, but when it comes back down, it's no longer using this support. Okay, because the previous resistance is about this zone. You can see it has been hovering about this zone multiple times. Okay, it was hovering multiple times, then break down again. Here was supported. Okay, because previously it was a resistance, so this resistance has turned into a support zone. Okay, this entire zone is like a support area lah. Okay, and then it broke out with a very huge volume over here. It broke out from here, and now it's consolidating. You can compare the volume that was present. Okay, so it's consolidating with a support of about 1.18. Okay, this support is actually same as previously this area's support and this area's resistance. Okay, so this resistance can turn into support lah. Okay, so this will now be the new resistance. Okay, 1.31 with the ultimate one at about 1.37, and lastly about 1.7 lah. Okay, based on the first day's chart, first day's candle, sorry. Okay. Okay, next is Eforce. Same thing, support turn resistance and resistance turn support. Those are one of the main things I look for when I'm looking for a chart for case study lah. Okay, so You can see over here, you know, high volume, everything sold down. Then there's an accumulation over here, okay. But you also need to take note that there's a resistance over here, which is 0.39. Okay, so this resistance managed to break out higher, and now testing back the previous resistance to see it has turned support or not. Okay, at the moment seems like yes, seems like it is a support level at 0.39 because it has tested 4 times and it didn't break. And now this day is like a high volume day lah. Okay, so this chart looks quite good. Okay, with the resistance at about 0.415 to about 0.425 lah. Okay, and then Gtronic. I think I have this chart as one of my case reviews quite a number of times already. Quite a nice chart. Okay, since the inverse head and shoulders over here ran up over here, okay, hit here as a resistance with a big shooting star, then came back down for pullback, and then now it has kind of stabilized at about 1.49 support. Okay, you can see that it has actually tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, including Friday lah. Okay, and the good thing about these 6 times is they are mostly on low volume. Okay, you can see the volume is mostly lower than the 10-day average, except for Thursday lah. Okay, Thursday was can't really say it's a hammer lah. Okay, so if let's say this support holds, then there is a potential that you will attempt to do a cup like this lah. Okay, and attempt to break out over here. Okay, but you need to always bear in mind, like I mentioned previously, in this video itself, we need to react based on what happens to the price action. Okay, if let's say this is a support, okay, and it comes down, test too many times, there is a possibility that it can break also. Okay, this information is also in my support and resistance video. Okay, so if do spend time to actually watch the video lah. Okay, next will be CIMB, one of the banking counters. I don't think all the banking counters are in tandem. I think a few only. I think Maybank is also not bad, but I prefer CIMB's chart lah. Okay, so you can see CIMB has come quite far from about 480 to now about 578. Okay, it has climbed quite far, and the volume on Friday is quite encouraging. Okay, you can see it's something like this lah. Okay, so your support will be definitely at about 5.61, while the resistance is at 5.78. Okay, I'm not so sure whether the banking sector in a whole is okay or not. Let's just give it a check. Kind of sideways lah, if you ask me. Okay, this will be your support. This level is your support. Alamak. This level is your support. Where else? It has to break over here lah. Okay, so like I mentioned before, the most basic thing when you are reading a chart is, if for an uptrend you need to form higher highs and higher lows, and downtrend is a lower high and lower lows. So currently it has formed like higher highs, but you know there is no lower lows, there is no lower high, unless this is confirmed higher low lah. Okay, so we wait and see. Maybe if this is the low, then maybe finance is maybe there is bullish momentum in the finance sector lah. Okay. Okay, next we go over to SUNWAY. I think this is in line with some construction counters. Okay, looks quite bullish as well. The chart is actually quite similar to CIMB. Okay, it's also like breakout, then form a resistance, then pull back and test back the previous resistance level lah. Okay, quite similar. Okay, but before this is actually quite sideways. Okay, you can actually see from here to here is pretty much sideways lah. Okay, and then finally change the trend. Okay, it's most of the time sideways only. And if you really want to see, SUNWAY is actually at 52-week high lah. It's actually at all-time high in fact. Okay, so 203 is kind of the all-time high lah. Okay, interesting chart. So this will be your support and this will be your resistance. Okay, next will be RANHILL. This one, the chart is a bit tricky, but just remember, just take note that it's actually still on an uptrend. Okay, it's still forming higher lows, and it's still forming higher highs. Okay, your support is definitely here, 0.635. Okay, you can see that the stock actually tested this level multiple times and it didn't break through so far, only this one day, but it actually kind of like a washout lah, okay, wash you out, then after close back above the support level. But this bar is a bit worrisome lah, okay. It shows like there are a lot of sellers over here, which may not be a good thing lah, okay. So you need to see, there is a chance that if he has tested the support so many times, it's going to break down, okay. So there's that chance lah, okay. Currently resistance is at about 0.72, but and if you follow the channel, it looks like it is within there lah, okay. Okay, so the next chart is PANTECH. The chart is quite similar to the oil and gas counters Uzma and Armada, where it formed one high, then came back to retest the previous resistance, and now it's attempting to go higher lah. Okay, the volume on Friday was quite encouraging, but the candle is going nowhere lah. Okay, it's like a neutral kind of candle, so we'll wait to see what happens to the stock next week, but considered quite bullish because we already break 52-week high, and if we look back in the chart, it's actually about 9 year, almost challenging the 9-year high at about 0.92. okay, consider pretty bullish lah. Okay, let's see. Seems like it's challenging a multi-year long downtrend line, but we'll wait to see. I don't think anyone would have held the stock from 2007 unless the company owners lah. Okay, so next stock, AYS. Actually, if you realize, most of my case study stocks are quite similar in chart pattern. Okay, you can see it's like hovering within a range over here, okay, before it attempts to break out lah. So this one, the resistance is at 0.44, tested 4 times but couldn't break, but the support is also quite good lah. Okay, what I like about AYS is always forming a higher low. Okay, instead of going sideways, up down within the same resistance and support, is actually forming higher lows along the way. Okay, so nice chart to have. We will see what happens in the market next week lah. Okay, Coastal, I included this stock because there is a very strong support at 1.91. okay, see, this is what happens in stock lah. Okay, this is an obvious stage 1. okay, this is a very obvious stage 1, and then this is a stage 2. okay, this is what we call the markup phase, and then this is a stage 3. okay, stage 3 over here, which was going down. Some stage 3 will be standstill lah, left to right. Some will be going down, some will be going higher a bit, lower a bit. Okay, I think Gretech has a very nice chart lah for stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. yeah, okay, so if you look at Gretech, it was a very nice accumulation over here, and then it followed by a markup, very nice markup over here. I think here everyone was like, this is a must have, you know, it's like going to go to the sky, something like that. Okay, and then it came over here. This is stage 3, very nice stage 3 actually. It's a complete distribution. You can see throughout here there is not really a new high form and there's not really a new low form. Okay, this entire zone is nothing much. Okay, it's more what we call a distribution phase lah. Okay, and subsequently it starts to break down over here. Okay, you look at here, it's like breaking down. Here is a super high volume, more like people are selling lah. Okay, and since then it hasn't really come up back lah. Okay, previous high is about $7, now it's about 4 plus. Okay, it's kind of like sideways here. So if you're asking where is the stage 4, is here lah. It's quite a steep stage 4. It's quite a quick one. Okay, so it looks more like it's sideways now lah. It looks more like it's now back to stage 1, where it's just flat lah. It's just flat until there is a next catalyst coming in and stuff like that. Then maybe it will start moving again lah. But as of now, it looks more sideways lah. Okay, So same thing with coastal, it was coming down all the way, and I think stage 4 may have started. Okay, you can consider that as a stage 4, or the other way to look at it is the stage 3 is only about here, and the stage 4 has already begun, so it goes down. Okay, now coastal is a bit different because one issue coastal has is because of the profit that they have. Okay, like I mentioned in previous videos, I am not a fundamentalist, so this is purely my own opinion lah, which may or may not be right. Okay, if we look at coastal's previous quarter reports, the margin is always abnormal. Okay, and the net income is always higher than the revenue. So it shows like the entire income does not originate totally from the company itself, from what the company does. Okay, so you look at here is like net income 104 million, but revenue is only 58 million. So profit margin is like 179%, which is same as what happened to DNext previously lah. Okay, so I think that, I personally think lah, that people are not keen to invest in a company where the income is higher than the revenue, because it kind of shows like what you earn is not entirely from what you're doing as a core business. Okay, that is what I personally feel lah. Okay, but I may be wrong. So for so many months, for so many quarters, it has been doing the same thing, and then the most recent quarter, I think there was the write-off for the JV. Okay, I'm not so sure on fundamental. I don't know how the accounting calculation works, but it has finally taken place lah. Okay, it will eventually come because it was some joint venture stuff. So when the report actually came out over here and a lot of people saw it's negative finally, it kind of caught them by surprise lah. Okay, it caught them by surprise, and the stock decided to come tumbling down, and it came down for quite a number of days until here. Here was the highest volume. If you study some volume books, they may call this as a stopping volume day lah. Okay, so the next day it attempted to go higher as the technical rebound, but you know, it came back down and formed kind of like a shooting star lah. Okay, if you really look into price action and reversal books, shooting star and hammer at the bottom are still considered reversals. Okay, so since then the stock has been slowly moving. Okay, it's slowly moving. Quite a long way for it to come back to its glory days previously. Okay, where it was like a hot thing lah, like, you know, everyone was like, oh, this is a hot thing to look at, you know, like gloves trend lah. Okay, it's quite a long way, but if this level is able to stabilize, then it may be able to do that lah. Okay, this level is interesting because if you use a lot of technical analysis and you refer back to the past data, you will notice about this level is also the previous level before the huge rally took place. Okay, why I say huge rally? Okay, this is the place previously before it ran up about 40%. Okay, the other one before is here lah, but this one accumulation lah. Okay, quite far already. So this was the level lah. So that's why in my support and resistance video, I actually mentioned that whatever support and resistance you are getting today is all entirely based on your previous data. If your previous data is there, you'll be able to do it. Okay, for new stocks, you won't have the data. Okay, like this, you can't find the data. Okay, this is using Fibonacci, which probably I will do it in another educational video. But you are not able to see where is the support and resistance because there is no previous data for you. Okay, so yeah, that's coastal lah. Okay, next is MAGNI. I did mention in the previous case studies, MAGNI is more of a dividend stock. Okay, so here you can see like MAGNI increases dividend. Okay, quite good lah. Okay, quite a good thing. So one thing I learned before is, if let's say one price is very stubborn lah. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's a support or resistance, it's very stubborn. Market maker may decide to do a gap up or gap down. Okay, that means if let's say like you may assume this as a bit stubborn lah, you know, attempt so many times also don't want to break, so just do a gap up and you will pass by this entire congestion area. Okay, so it has gone up. It would be good if it comes down to close the gap. Okay, gaps are more oftenly closed than not closed lah. Okay, and the selling pressure at about 2.1 is quite high. Okay, so need to take note. Other than that, I think it's moving up quite well from this nice consolidation for multiple cups form before it broke out lah. Okay, quite a nice chart lah. Okay, next is RGB. Okay, I think it's quite similar to one of the charts just now. I think it's coastal. Yeah. Okay, you can see here is like, you know, 1, 2, 3, the third day, the highest volume. So they kind of call it like a stopping volume day lah. Okay, so I think RGB is the same, but it is like multiple days before the stopping volume came, but it still went down after that lah. Okay, so since coming over here, this was like a super deep washout. Okay, and then we attempted to look at the previous support. Okay, our resistance, which is about here, 0.25. Okay, but they decided to just wash you until 0.255 and then come back up. Okay, so if you look at here, 0.27 to 0.275 seems like the support. This seems like a real washout lah. Okay, because since then it has always been supported about here and it's slowly forming a cup. Okay, I can say about maybe 90% of the charts, the main pattern is actually a cup lah. Okay, most of it is a cup. Whichever you want to call it a cup, a rounding bottom, whichever it is, but it looks like a cup for me. Okay, so more like, it's quite unlikely for someone to create something like this lah. Okay, I think the only time this ever happened was the COVID era. Okay, where it managed to really do something like a V rebound lah. Okay, that one memang really power lah. Okay, other than that, most of the time it takes some time before, you know, it slowly forms, maybe something like this, something like that. Okay, it takes time lah. Okay, stock market is a patience game. Okay, and we need to always do some case review, case studies to go and learn more lah. Okay, okay, then DSS, this is another stock which it broke out and then came back to test the previous resistance to see whether it turned into support or not. Okay, so from here, so from here you can see that it's creating higher lows all the way. Okay, until today it's still creating higher lows. It's a bit sharper now. The trend line is a bit sharper now. But I prefer to follow the first trend line. Okay, because there's always a possibility it will come back to the initial one. Okay, I think in US they have like a standard moving average or something that you will always come back to about that line lah. Okay, and it's always going higher one. Okay, so same for the SS. It has come up to about 0.455 and then came back down to retest. Okay, this was previously like a congestion zone lah. Okay, if you look at it, this has always been like a bull and bear fight kind of zone. Okay, you see here wicks, 3 days wicks, this day break, then come back down, then wick again, okay, then wick again, support again. So this is like a congestion zone. So it actually came back to test here, this zone. Okay, before attempting to go higher. Okay, the breakout seems quite valid because of the high volume that came in. Okay, and the pullback day seems to be quite good as well because the volume is pretty low. Okay, so seems like a good trend lah coming up. Okay, and if you zoom out, like I mentioned just now, most of it come in cups. Okay, even for this, you can actually see it's a cup, and it's another cup. Okay, this pattern was actually promoted by a very famous guy called William O'Neill. Okay, for those of you who want to read a book, William O'Neill is a kind of like the father of cup and handles, rounding bottoms lah. Okay, his book is quite interesting. Mainly focuses on cup and handle pattern only. Okay, but you will learn a lot there lah. Okay, and my last stock for case study this week is FFB. Okay, Farm Fresh did not post a good quarter report the other day. It was a bit, I think a bit under expectation lah. Okay, profit plummets August 31st. Okay, however, I believe that quarter report was already priced in before the quarter report came out. Okay, and why do I say so? Even after a bad quarter report, it didn't dive the next day. Okay, for some stocks that is like quite surprising, it tends to dive. For example, this. Okay, it will dive. Okay, so for Farm Fresh, it didn't dive at all. Okay, same like this lah. Okay, the profit is what, 71,000 I think, but it didn't dive the next day. Okay, it actually climbed higher, so it was already like priced in lah. Okay, that's what we call it. So market discounts everything, just remember that. So currently it's sideways consolidating around here. There's not much of volume moving in up or down. Okay, there's really not much of volume. You look at volume is way below the 10 days average volume. Okay, so the support and resistance remains. Support is at 1.18 and the resistance is at 1.28 lah. Okay, so you have to wait and see what the market dictates. Okay, okay, so that will be all for my case studies this week. We will see next week to see if the case studies materialize or not lah. Okay, so as a general comment on the market, personally I think Malaysia's market is not bad, quite interesting. The indexes are doing quite well. Whereas for US, I don't think it's that good. Short term wise, I don't think it's that good, but a long term trend will always start from a short term trend lah. Okay, so just exercise caution. For China side, I think China is doing a lot to try and push the market up. I think they have reduced stamp duty, that's the first, and then now they are reducing the interest rates already by 0.25%, that's already the second. And I think the China government is pushing a lot to boost up the currency lah. Okay, that's what I heard. So market may improve, okay, based on the stimulus from China government itself lah. Okay, as for the Malaysian market, you need to bear in mind that the budget 2024 is coming out next month. So as the budget is nearing, there may be some speculations on some counters lah. Okay, maybe like I think recently it's like GST coming back, or you know maybe HSR, you know, or the Johor City. So there may be some activity in counters that are related to stuff like this. So just exercise caution in the market, and that will be all for this week lah. Okay, and if you enjoyed the video, just do remember to like, subscribe and share out lah. Okay, that will be all for this week. Thank you, bye bye.
If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.